You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
The wheel is turning and you can't slow down. You can't let go and you can't hold on.
Hello and welcome back into my Wheelhouse. I'm your host Sheamus. Today is March 5th. We're a week away from March Madness beginning, a couple weeks away from the end of the NBA season. Joining me to my right, Sloan. To my left, Uncle Mike. What's
Hello.
going on, guys? Good to have you back.
Post-Bombo Genesis, number 2.
That's right.
Post-Nor'easter.
Was it an official Bombo Genesis?
More of a nor'easter,
Well,
bad
okay.
nor'easter. Hope everyone
Nor'easter
made out
was
okay.
small.
It was exciting travels if you were driving in the hurricane-type winds.
Yeah, we had a cancellation, a basketball cancellation.
No, rescheduled
I
for
had 5
tonight.
senior nights last week.
5.
Well, I was watching them. Every game I'm watching is a senior night, you know?
Okay, that's true.
I
Good
was
point.
all variations of senior night. Look at URI senior night. Did you see that one?
I did not watch that one.
They got beat by 35 on senior night.
Oh,
Yeah, that was bad. That
Oh
was
my
bad.
God! I mean, I didn't know how he was going to take them out of the game at the end. I didn't know how they were going to handle the whole thing. It was like all the fans, you know, they wanted to give them the big ovation. It was
tough.
one of the worst performances I've ever seen on
unusual.
a senior night.
Yeah, that's tough.
But we
Hopefully it
got
doesn't
a
hurt their
makeup
seating
on
too
James'
bad.
senior night.
That's right. It's tonight. Shout out James. So this goes to Sloan on a tiebreaker.
I'm rooting for you like crazy, Sloan, because
Thank you, sir.
I'm hanging on by a thread.
All right.
Brings it 10 to 8 to 5.
Okay.
It's a close trail. I think we about 6 or 7 weeks left of predictions to make before we get to the playoffs. So
One of the things that hurt you gentlemen was the Celtics.
yes,
that
it
Rockets
was. That
game.
essentially won you the thing, and we'll talk about that for sure. But I don't really have anything else. You got any chumps before you want to get to the wheel?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it was a good week for chumps, really. You had, J.R. Smith throwing soup at the coaching.
See, wait, that's not a chump. That's like I'm anti.
No, he didn't win. He didn't win. And then I actually was considering, I didn't like how Harden handled that crossover and the guy fell down and then stopped the world.
Right.
And I'm saying, would Larry Bird have done that? Would anybody? I mean, you hit the shot first, then you do your trash talking, whatever.
But here's the thing, Mike. People talked about that for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
It was almost headline news
They showed
for
the
the
highlight.
next 2 days.
showed that highlight for
It's
25
meme. The
straight.
memes are going
So the event
crazy.
goes away, and it's no longer a basketball game. It's entertainment, and I'm going to freeze, stop camera, hold everything. I'm going to stare you down. I'm going to shoot. But anyways,
Yeah.
I'm going to give my trump to Shea.
to me.
I'll give shit trump.
I'm the trump of the week.
You know, I was
Really?
really just, well, here we are. Well, I get the text. The text is, did you see LeBron's between the legs on Thompson? And
Yep.
I'm I'm listening and watching another game. And so I text him back. I say, how about Virginia? 0.9.
Oh, my God.
Stop. 0.9 seconds left. They're down 4, and they win the game in regulation by scoring 5 points in the last 0.9 seconds. And he texts me back and says, garbage, horrible game. I'm saying I don't care about the game. I have never seen a team score 5 points in 0.9 seconds to win a game.
I've never seen a team give up that many points. They are the chumps.
Louisville is absolutely the trump. Are you kidding me? That was
makes
a joke
Louisville
of a game.
the worst losers.
That was
of
not
all time.
impressive on Virginia.
If I only knew, I would have given 2 chumps.
Okay, so did
Well, text me next
I mean, you
time.
can't
They're
say that
watching
that
it through
was.
like Virginia goggles. Like that game was embarrassing. Louisville lost that game. They lost the lead. They had it the entire time. And then you're trying to compliment a team that when the opponents run the baseline when that's illegal, and then they bank the three-pointers and win. They bank a
5
three-pointer.
points with less than a tick and a clock.
They banked the 3
You
for the
couldn't
win.
even, huh?
They banked the 3 for the win after
banked the three.
After
the
they
opposing
gifted the
team
ball.
made a boneheaded move. That was the most illegitimate win I've ever seen. That was such a joke.
How
to
can
you, the whole
the
season's
opposing
illegitimate.
players be that dumb basketball-wise?
It was
How
awful.
can their IQ
it was
be
awful.
that low?
It was awful. It was terrible. All you had to do, there's 0.9 seconds. They just throw it off someone's knee. It doesn't matter. The time will run out. You're up by 2 points. You would have won. That was.
If that happened to one of your teams, you'd be all over the Celtics for pulling it out and 0.9.
No, I would be so queasy. I would be like, oh my God, I can't believe the other team let us get that win. I can't believe we baked it at 3.
There's
I know
something to
everyone
be
hates
said.
us right now, and I understand why.
There's something
and I
to be said
sympathize
about
with
the
it.
team that wins in that situation.
I don't think we're homers at all.
I don't know about that.
We've told you multiple times the Celtics have gotten games that they
All right.
haven't earned.
We could spin that. That game was so gross. The red stuff
Like
was
you
much
watched
worse.
it.
I watched a good segment. I went back and I watched the comeback with like
All right,
5
so we
minutes
got
left.
All purple NBA?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we're going some NCAA.
We're color coordinated today.
All right,
Right
so
on.
March
Do it.
Madness a week away. Selection Sunday. These guys just told me because I wasn't even keeping track. Selection Sunday is 6 days away, so we'll get to find out.
Exciting.
Well, I mean, the first question, is Virginia going to make the tournament, Shay?
I don't know. We'll have to see. But
Number
depending
one
on
seed.
where they go, I didn't want to know. Get your thoughts on some teams to watch out for. Maybe whether a deep run or surprise teams or anything like that. Just anyone that could be exciting.
Well, I probably watch it more than you guys do. I do watch it more than you guys. There's some pretty interesting teams. I think at the top, it's pretty cut and dry with UVA and Villanova and Duke. But Xavier's kind of a surprise team as we get. And they got Enos Cantor's brother, who's a really good player. I think he came out for the draft last year. He's a big that gets left-handed, can really score inside. So Xavier maybe out of the ones is a team to watch. They might be ready to do some stuff. I think Michigan is a good look.
I like
at a
Michigan.
team.
I like
I
Michigan.
like the style of
Didn't
play.
they just beat Michigan State in the?
I don't think they matched up against Michigan State in the Big Ten. One thing I saw about the Big Ten,
They've got a couple of big wins. I forget what they
the
are.
second day at the Big Ten, it was in the paper. I cut it out. Tickets for $6 to the Big Ten tournament.
That's
I guess
great.
It's going to take a while. Well, it's going to take a while for that to establish. But if you're looking for a
amazing.
couple sleeper teams, or teams that and I'm going to go by the teams that I watch all the time. I think Notre Dame's a real sleeper because from New Bedford, Bonzie Colson is from
Oh,
New
yeah,
Bedford.
Bonzie.
Isn't he
Yeah.
out though?
No, he's back. He had
Healthy?
26 against Virginia and played
I like
really
Bonzi.
well. 26 and 14 rebounds and really solidified the team. They've got a good guard too, but they're back at full strength. That was a good game. The Virginia Notre Dame game. They played. It was a good, strong game by both teams. So I think Notre Dame's that type of team. And I think in URI's league, watch out for St. Bonaventure.
Yeah.
They've got
What-
two
what-
guards
what are
that
they
can
gonna be
really
seeded?
play. I think they're going to be probably around a 10 or something like that.
Right.
But they've got a couple real strong guards, Jalen Adams and Matt Mobley, that can really play. And I think
Mobley
that
was a
might be-
beast against URI. I remember that game.
Yeah,
They
and
turned
that
out.
seemed a lot. All the pundits, they seem to think that always that the guards show up in the NCAA tournament. So
So you were right. The Michigan plowed through the Big Ten. They beat Michigan State, and the
Yeah.
game before that they beat Purdue.
Yeah, that was
And-
pretty
and
big.
they were playing really well, and those are one of the teams I've been looking out for.
And Michigan State's pretty good too. Michigan State
Yeah,
has
oh, yeah.
a pretty balanced
they're
offense.
the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah, probably number 2. You think they'll be in?
The Big Ten's down though, because they're probably only going to get 4 teams in.
You think?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. I mean, Nebraska's got a chance. Penn State's got a stand. So I feel bad that I got to defend Virginia. Here's a team that wins the most games ever in the ACC. They win 17 games. They go undefeated on the road. That league is going to get 9 or 10 in the tournament.
No.
And you've got a team that's going 28-2, 17-1, and undefeated on the road. I know there were close games, but man, that's a pretty strong season they had.
I would say they're definitely Final Four material, for sure.
Good. And they can
And
lose anytime.
I don't think they've made a Final Four in the past, what? How
They haven't made it.
They've
They haven't.
never
I
made
don't
it?
know if they. I mean, they didn't make it Ralph Sampson's year, and that's the last time that they
I was
were
gonna say, I know
number
they haven't made it
one.
in the past 20
so they
years,
really
but-
no, they haven't. They've been
Wow.
knocking on the door.
So my fingers are crossed for your team.
Well, the real strong Virginia fans like myself, and my daughter went to grad school there. That's kind of where I got connected in the Tony Bennett years, and I followed it closer with it. We all understand they're offensively challenged, and they can run into situations where when they're offensively challenged that somebody can beat them because they're not going to score a lot of points. They're better than they were in previous years. As far as like a player that you might want, and I've thrown him out there before. I mean, keep your eyes on this DeAndre Hunter. Really, I'm telling you, this guy is a real strong player. He reminds me of Kawhi Leonard. And I mean, Shea said it right before. You shouldn't say it like that. The way you should say it is, I see glimpses of Kawhi Leonard. And he's 6'8", 6'9", long, athletic, plays defense, can score all 3 ways. Taking it to the hoop, inside, posting, and outside on the 3.
I like Hunter.
He's only a freshman.
Something that's interesting that we've been talking about since the beginning of the college basketball season is we've seen the teams in the top really shuffle around and on any given night lose to a random team. So I think that makes it makes it much less cut and dry coming to when you're filling out your bracket and to when we be able to the likelihood of predicting something right and wrong in this tournament because it's more likely that a 1 seed could lose to a 9 seed in the second round or a 2 seed could lose in the first round to a 15. It seems like it could be one of those years where it shakes out where complete randomness is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any perfect brackets.
No.
Well,
There never are.
Even in
They're
the
never are.
Elite Eight.
But you
though,
always sweat when you've got a number one that you're all really
Right.
guessing is that
Yep.
it is gonna. This is the year when the 16 beats the one.
in the tournament, because I think that a team like Virginia, when there's a top team and they're known for their defense, I think that gets them at least to a certain part in the tournament, depending on who they shake out against and what their break will be in their region. But the teams that I look for are defensively minded teams, but with potential offensive superstar on their team. So I look for a strong defensive team with one player, with one guy that you could say, okay, that guy can get me 30 points on a given night. And more likely than not, because when you go into a game in the NCAA tournament, because unlike the NBA playoffs or anything else where there's a series and more likely than not, the stronger team is going to end up winning. If you're going up against the offensive team and you catch them on an off night, you can blow them out of the water. But if you have a defensive team against a defensive team, then it's more likely the team that has a strong single player is going to actually jump off the page. And that's why I like certain teams like Alabama. I think it could be a really strong team in this tournament. And they're only going to be probably a 10-9 seed, maybe an 8 seed if they're lucky. And I think could be a really interesting team. And depending on where they shake out, if they get Xavier in the second round, I might like them. It could be interesting, and maybe they'll be a 10, so it'll change who they're going to match up again. But that's the type of team that I look for that I think is really intriguing.
Yeah.
After that, I like some big guys. I'm hoping for like every major prospect needs to be in. I want Bamba in Texas to be in.
Did Porter play?
Porter did not play, but that's another team that I think could be interesting in the tournament because right now they're being slept on because they're a pretty average team overall. But if this team, similar to Alabama and what their seeding could be expected to be, if they come in and they're a 10 seed and then Michael Porter comes and plays and he asserts himself as a top 5 player in the entire tournament, we could see that as being a surprise team that could shock some teams out of the way.
Yeah, fingers crossed for Bamba. You know, like you said earlier before we started shooting, maybe he'll be in the play-in game.
Right.
But, hopefully at least we'll get to see him. He's an exciting player to watch. Auburn and Alabama both have a chance to, make some impact in the big dance, which is kind of funny. They're two prolific football organizations, and they might actually, turn some heads basketball-wise. I like Purdue.
Yeah, they got that huge big.
Is it Haas or Hack?
No, another team that really.
And they
shows
got
every
Edwards,
year
that young guard. What's he, the sophomore guard? He's capable of scoring 25 anytime.
Watch out for St. Mary's. With that big
St.
guy,
Mary's.
that Jock Lanson or whatever.
Yep.
He's a good, because when you talk about Purdue's guy, I don't see Purdue's guy as an NBA player, although he's a monster and tough guy to play against. But St. Mary's guy.
He's such a strong college player, though, and he's so dependable with just how quick he gets to his offensive moves and how strong he is and how hard he is to stop. I think he's going to be good in the tournament.
We'll have to have our brackets filled for next week.
Yeah, we'll fill them out maybe on the show or something like that. I don't know. We could do something interesting like that.
So the treat for me, I'm going to be going to the ACC tournament this week, and I'm really looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to see Bagley play a couple of times, and all the good teams that are in that North Carolina, and I'd like to see them on Wednesday night if I can, and then hopefully with Virginia wins a couple games, because that's one thing I don't like about the tournaments. You never used to have those, and it's like. It is a money play, and when we talk about the NCAA and everything that's wrong with it, and the fans love it, and the fans are part of all that's wrong with college sports too, because we buy into it so much, and you want to be there. But just the fact that they got to play this tournament, you play every team twice already. Now you got to play them again, and then you go into the NCAA tournament, and it's real, but it's like. Is it really necessary to have a conference tournament?
I like it in its ability to change a team that may not have as good of a chance in the tournament in terms of maybe making it period or raising up in the standings and getting a better shakeout in terms of being able to prove themselves. And,
I agree.
And you see teams that do this. I mean, you have surprise winners of complete tournaments.
You look at a team like Providence College. They went 10-8, and so they're on the cusp. And but they've got 19 wins. I mean, they get that next win in the tournament, and they've got 20 wins.
Right, tournaments matter for those type of teams.
And in reverse, if they lose in the first round, they're probably out.
Right. We'll see. A lot of things change.
And Rhode Island will be interesting too, because now they've lost the last 2 games, and Davidson's a strong team. They lost the last game to them. And
but URI's already built enough camaraderie already where thhere they're going to be in. What are they considered, a 5 seed?
We've talked about
5-6, but now with a couple of bad losses.
You think it's going to be lower than 5-6?
I think last year what happened to them is that they peaked. and they kept playing better and better and better and better, that's a tough standard to match. I don't care how good URI is this year. That's a tough act to follow, what they did last year in terms of playing that well and at that high of a level to challenge any team to get to that 100% of performance.
Well, even so, they're so much above the other teams in terms of their competition inside of their own conference, where I think that
they just got beat by St. Joe's.
Yeah, but I think the committee really rewards the greatest team in a conference, and I saw that when UMass had their one strong season when we had Caddy and Putney were both playing really well. We were given a 6 seed, and we were hoping for more like a 10 seed. And we wanted to be a team that could upset our opponent and not be favored.
Okay.
And we were really kind of got screwed over a little bit by early coming on, really separating ourselves from the remainder of our conference. But and then similar to URI, we struggled later in the season, and then they rewarded just kind of the number of the record in contrast to the rest of our conference, rather than actually judging what the team might actually be. So I'm nervous that URI maybe might get too high of a seed, and like then they shake out against a weird thing.
I'm not seeing any higher than 6, and
We'll
maybe less than that.
Not after that
Just
blowout.
a note on UMass. I know you're an alum, and they've had Calipari did. They had Marcus Camby. They finished the last game of the season with 4 scholarship players available.
Available? What do you mean available?
They dressed to play. No, they only had 4 guys on that team.
What happened to the rest of them?
They had 7 guys leave after the coach left. They've had the big guy was academically in January. They threw him off the team for academics, and they had a couple injuries. They were down to 4 scholarship players.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to be pretty bad to be thrown off for academics.
You do, especially when you're like a junior or senior.
You must just not show up. Look like a double.
Talk about
Wow,
players.
look, okay,
players.
we can
Players.
talk about
Watch.
players. I don't
Talk
mind
about
talking about
So,
players.
I mean, we can combine it with predictions. I guess we can just round up our March Madness talk in general. My goal or hopes, I want as much of a sample size as I can get of competitive basketball with the highest players possible. Unfortunately, that means that I would prefer the Virginia type of a team to lose out earlier if it means, like, if they play Missouri in the second round, I'm going to be rooting for Missouri to beat Virginia. I'm sorry, but I would rather
Don't
see.
be sorry,
I would
it's
rather
legit.
I would rather see my
I just
supporter
don't
go
want it
further.
to ever
I
be
want-
that you're rooting against Virginia because it's my
No,
team.
never. I would never do that. I mean, if they're playing a nobody, I'm going to root for Virginia because I have people that care about Virginia. But an ideal situation would be like Duke versus Arizona in the final game, and both DeAndre Ayton and Marvin Bagley have incredible games. Followed, like where previously maybe the other high prospects, Michigan State needs to go far in the tournament so we can get as much of Jaren Jackson. That's the type of stuff I want, and I want all those players to perform well. We've seen in tournaments past, last year's tournament had an awesome matchup between UCLA and Kentucky, where both Lonzo Ball didn't play too fantastic, but Lonzo Ball played well, and De'Aaron Fox played fantastic. And those are the type of games where I want to be able to draw just overall consensus of how the players look in terms of real competition, because these are players and these are teams that these top prospects have not faced to date. And that's what I look for when I'm.
I thought it was interesting today in the New York Post. They gave all the awards and talked about who player of the year.
Right.
And the consensus player of the year was Brunson.
Yeah.
And
You disagree with
I
that?
know, but I mean, there's a guy that's not flashy at all. He's not really the type of guy you look forward to seeing his game play. But
He's the most versatile scorer on a team that scores,
He shot
what,
52%.
87 points.
He shot
points a
52%.
game.
I like Brunson.
40%.
Great
He's
to
a
watch.
very good clutch player.
I think you could see him being a great second round pick.
But I actually like
somebody's going to get a steal with
Bridges
Brunson.
better than him on the team.
Oh, Mikal Bridges is a top 10
top 10
prospect.
prospect. Yeah. So
We were talking about Robert Covington before. That's the type of player that he might be in the league.
So that they got some players. You know, when you got Brunson and Bridges on that same team, that's a strong. That's really strong.
Yeah, I would be okay with them going forward purely based on those guys. Watching them more, I mean, I'm in for that. Are there any
We're
players?
watching our local guy, Jared Terrell, see what kind of impact he makes.
That's true.
URI. It's Carson Edwards from Purdue.
I knew it was a C.
Like him a lot. Yeah, I haven't got to see him that many times, but when I have seen him, he's exploded.
So we got Cantor from Xavier, and we got Antetokounmpo from St. Bonaventure. That we he's
on Dayton. They're probably not going to make it. They're not going to make it.
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's the
Oh,
brothers.
and
brothers?
Notre Dame
Yeah.
really.
That would be crazy.
I think Bonzi Colson could be a real. He missed 15 games and it was a broken bone in his foot, I think. and he's played 3 games since, and he's been strong in all 3 games.
He's a great college player. I mean, he has the body of a college big man that
He's
makes
got
sense.
arms like Mo Bamba.
He's got long arms. I think he has a 7+.
Great rebounder.
It's something like a +6
Shoots
wingspan.
the
I think
three.
he's only like 6'7".
That team, well coached,
like Notre
veteran teams, and as we talked about before, the veteran, the players that have been there for 4 years, they seem to play out well in the tournament.
They do.
And the young players, they might be a flat. It's interesting we haven't talked about Trae Young at all, because when they went over players in the post, it was like first half of the year, it was Trae Young was the player of the year, hands down. Right. Now, where the heck is he?
Well, I mean, it's crazy to talk about because he's still leading the nation in scoring and in assists. But I mean,
that'll be only the second time in NCAA history that a player has led the nation in scoring and assists. And the last time, he's a Hall of Famer, I believe, in college basketball Hall of Famer and a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer. His name is Dick Grote.
Really?
He played third base at shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Great player, and he played for University of Pittsburgh, I believe.
What was this, like 1947?
Well, it's a long time ago, but I mean, it's probably
pretty
the
awful
50s.
name.
It's in the 50s. It's in the 50s. I mean,
I did not.
Old enough where I did not experience his college basketball career. I experienced his Major League Baseball career. But that's the only other time.
I mean, that shows how unprecedented
it's
this
the only time it's ever been done.
Statistical
other than
output
that.
is.
Lead the country in assistance scoring.
But it's interesting because if you look at Lenardi and other people that are predicting what seeding is going to shake out, I mean, they're saying Oklahoma is going to be a 9-10 seed now, which is really interesting. And if they had a stronger surrounding cast, then I could have aligned them with a team similar to Alabama that like maybe could make some noise because of having this one player that could blow up and the rest of the team just kind of do their job to neutralize the opponent. But I don't see Oklahoma being that team. And I hope he carries them, and I hope he has a nuclear tournament and it goes off, but more often than not, I doubt it. He's still going to be a top 10 pick, and he still has.
Then you got Duke, and they got a bunch of players there. So they got Carter, and they
Duke's my pick to win. Like I don't like Duke, but I feel like
Grayson Allen doesn't try to do too much because they have such a wealth, like a dearth of talent. I really don't like it when he tries to shoot too much, and they don't play in their team game.
Did you see the borderline trip recently again?
I didn't.
He's the worst.
Yeah, it's not a blatant trip, but his foot does it. He actually moves his foot out in a congested pile to try to dislodge a guy with his foot.
Some kind of mental disorder.
He almost averaged 25 a game, the most recent stretch when Bagley was out.
I mean, they're the most
he hadn't done much before that, but that's just another. He's the 5th guy. The other 4 guys might all be pros, right?
I mean, yeah, they are. The other 4 guys are probably going to be first round
round
picks.
now that Duke looks like
Kentucky,
previous years Kentucky teams.
They do.
Kentucky's an interesting team. I hope that Kentucky wins a couple rounds because they have a lot of players that are lottery potential players where I have no clue how they're going to shake out. I mean, I look at Kevin Knox and I try to watch those games, and I'm not sure what to take from his game as real and what not to be like, hey, he's just scoring on less athletic, maybe some college defenses that aren't that strong. And that other guy, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he looks great, but like I'm nervous that he might be like a Michael Carter-Williams type. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting, and the tournament is where you're going to be able to separate differences in perspective with these guys and what is maybe not real earlier in the season when they're playing some no-name teams. Any other takes of final players that you're excited to see?
You're just going to keep hearing Virginia from me. So
I'm not excited.
I'm just so excited about them. I just hope it happens for them this year. Tony Bennett, I mean, what a story he is. He just keeps hearing more and more. He was a coach of the year in the ACC. He may get national coach of the year. He's just such a humble guy. You should really plug into him.
Who else is in contention? Jay Wright?
I'm just want to finish Tony Bennett. The last 3 years, he's been given huge raises as a coach because there's 20 coaches in the country that get paid over $2 million a year.
Right.
And what he's done all 3 years is go to the administration and tell the administration, I'm all set. Take care of my assistant coaches, all 3 years. And they've given his salary increases to assistant coaches, and his thinking is that, I want my assistant coaches to be top of the line.
It's good. You need a good coaching staff, not just a good head coach.
Maybe one day they'll take care of the players.
Yeah, probably not. We'll see.
Oh, it really likes
the players.
College.
Yeah, we're done with college. Thanks, guys,
Sloan,
for talking about college basketball.
This might have been the worst spin of all time by Sloan.
I'm going to blame it on the wheel.
Sloan is rolling players and teams every single time.
Somehow, some way, we'll take the one that's close and do it.
Sloan is awful. This is the most preposterous stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah, we could almost stop in the Celtics. That would have been good.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, that's because you got so much.
We're just going to choose something. Yeah. Wow, that was
I
preposterous.
can't believe that.
You might be sitting
stay
on
with
that
the
side next week.
Gladly.
All right, Boston Celtics now 44-20. Only a couple teams left of games. We're 5-5 in our last 10. Most recently, that tough loss on Saturday night on prime time against the Houston Rockets.
Great loss, though.
one of the
Tough
best
loss, great loss.
Yeah, one of the best games of the year. We can get right into that game. I thought we played very, very well for 44 minutes. I think we outplayed the Rockets for the first 4 3/4 quarters of that game. Once we got down to the stretch, and it was back and forth. We were leading by close to 6 points the majority of the game. But once we got down to it, there was a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers.
Sloppy.
We saw Smart making his usual plays, but then making unusual passes in transition.
True.
We saw Al diving on the floor for his typical hustle play, but then making a boneheaded feed away. That
Where did you even see that ball going?
Well,
It was
exactly,
like-
that's what I'm talking about. There was a lot of
you know
those
what
plays.
They did say, and Denise caught it, my wife, is that he tried to call a timeout.
He did.
So
No, he tried to call.
Did he actually?
I don't-
How do you
that's-
try to call? The referees did not recognize the
don't know.
timeout
Refs haven't
because that's a
been-
situation he was in. That was
In
key play.
crazy plays like that where
Yeah.
bodies are flying, the refs haven't really been granting timeouts right away.
No,
I've noticed that
they
this
let
year.
they let
Well,
it
you're
play
supposed to
out.
have an eye for it. When
I
you see
agree.
a guy,
I agree.
the guy's in jeopardy, there's not much going on. He really doesn't have a, your ears, you should be, your antenna should be up saying he may be calling a timeout here. And that's probably why he probably expected it. And then once he didn't get the timeout, he had nothing left to do but to almost roll the ball.
I'm in favor of him being granted that timeout immediately.
that
Because
was
I think it's
great
better
hustle. That was great
basketball.
hustle.
You know, I think it looks ugly when you just let him
I
keep
would
flopping
say,
around down
in
there.
my mind, that there's a single play that was key play in that whole game, and I think Houston earned it. And yeah, the Celtics made some plays, but I believe they were up 6.
Celtics.
And Celtics are up 6 late in the game, and Houston comes down, misses the shot. Rozier gets a monster rebound.
Yeah, and Chris Paul
and
pokes
comes
it out.
down, and Chris Paul.
Ripped it out, yeah.
Man, was that a strong defensive play?
That was-
and then Gordon hits the 3,
Right.
and instead of having possession up 6,
Right.
you're now up 3, and
Yeah.
that was a great defensive play by
was-
Paul.
there was
Quick hands. Somebody's got the ball tight, and he jawed it loose. Really good play.
The problem is up 6
Yeah.
on the Rockets is not up
Right,
many.
yeah, it's-
because they
no,
can-
but
they
how
can-
much time was left with that shit? That was getting right down to the end.
No, that was like 42 seconds.
42
Not only
seconds
do
left,
they,
6 on the
they're,
ball.
they're great defensively across the entire floor, and they just hit timely shots. They're so clutch
Yeah.
with their spacing is so good. They know how to space the floor. They have got 4 great passers at all times at the end of games, and they just find that open three-point shooter. And it's like you're not even surprised when it happens, but it really rips your heart at
Yeah.
you. Like that was a tough
I
loss.
thought that we had a great defensive game plan going in, and I thought we did a very good job of, as best as you can, neutralizing both James Harden and Chris Paul to a degree. I thought that
6 for 18 for Harden.
For the different defenders that we threw at him, I thought Jalen did fantastic against Harden. I thought Terry defended Chris Paul very well, and in instance, Terry defended Harden as well. Marcus did his usual defensive intensive work. But overall, I thought we played a good game beyond those uncharacteristic turnovers, and it wasn't necessarily that we lost the game. And like you say, their clutch play is what kind of was able to rise them ahead. Both Gordon, Ariza, and PJ Tucker all hit huge shots in the last
Ariza
two.
took 15 threes.
Yeah, but like the 4 that he
PJ
made,
Tucker's a great addition
The
to the
4 that
team.
he made were so crucial and
They
so
were.
well
They
timed
were.
that those 3 players down the stretch that's what the difference was.
Well,
That we made uncharacteristic
Did you say
turnovers.
Gordon?
Yeah, Gordon, Ariza, and
He had
PJ Tucker's
31.
their shots.
And Tucker, I didn't expect him to hit the 3s that he hit.
Yeah, and I mean they were open.
One of the
and
best 3-and-D guys in the league.
Well,
It
let's
came
go
out of
back to
offense.
Harden and our defense on Harden. I'll bring LeBron into this because you got LeBron, raising the thing that players are protected when they're driving to the hoop. Is
Perfect
any
example.
player more protected than Harden?
This is a perfect example of what LeBron James is talking about.
No, it's not because Harden gets all the fouls, he gets all the calls. And LeBron wants the same calls that Harden gets.
This is a perfect example of LeBron
Harden's
James
a
talking
lot
about.
more demonstrative, though. When he gets hit, he really sells it, whereas LeBron doesn't really act that much.
Right.
You know?
I guess, but
LeBron might complain more after
when
he
they
doesn't
talk to
get
the
a call.
defenders, whether you talk to Morris or Rozier played him a little bit, but Smart mostly. He said there's virtually no way of playing him with the way he's protected by the referees, because you have to play him with your hands off, and even with your hands off, it's almost like you got to create space between him. You can't even body him up, and so how do you play this guy?
It's absolutely ridiculous. That game was so frustrating to watch in terms of the referee's relationship with James Harden. I didn't realize that the referees were going to be in James Harden's bridal party at his wedding. That was actually
why that's contrary to LeBron. This is exactly what LeBron wants.
It's not. James Harden is getting fouls drawn that we tried to eradicate last year with a rule that's literally called the Harden rule because of how awful it was last season. And he isn't getting those weeded out. It's getting weeded out against the remaining shooters in the league, but James Harden is still getting all of these awful calls where he just rips his arm through a defender who's doing this. Jaylen Brown, fantastic defense in the 4 minutes. And 4 minutes in the third quarter where he got his fourth foul. Jaylen Brown was in his jersey, in his gut, great defense. James Harden shoves him off him. That's a foul on Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart had 2 instances where he was guarding him.
Yep.
Perfect defense, great footwork, shifted with him. Harden just ripped his arms through his and then flailed like a buffoon, and then he got the foul called because the refs are obsessed with him. It was so frustrating to watch, and I thought we did a great job to overcome that and still be able to neutralize the Harden to the degree that we did. And the Rockets are lucky that their role players stepped up because the refs were trying to help them out and bail them out of that game so bad with James Harden.
Why would they?
Because James Harden was getting every single preposterous call.
And why wouldn't they do it with LeBron?
Because LeBron isn't playing that dumb play style. He doesn't do that willy-nilly flail your arms at the 3-point line trying to draw a 3-point foul because that's not his game.
Yeah, but James Harden doesn't come out after the game and with his comments about.
Yeah, because he shot 14 free throws.
Yeah, he averages he averaged 7.2 fouls against on Harden every game.
This is what LeBron is talking about. James Harden is exactly what LeBron is talking about.
I don't agree.
So, did you not watch the game? I don't understand.
Of course I did, but I think Harden and James are comparable, and what James is asking for is exactly what Harden's getting. No. That's what James wants.
No, LeBron is asking for the same respect that James Harden gets outside the 3-point line, inside the 3-point line.
But Harden gets the same thing when he drives it to the hoop.
Yeah, and LeBron gets that too, but that's not the point because LeBron.
I don't think LeBron gets that.
Harden averages close to 10 free throw attempts a game. And he gets fouled a lot, and he's one of the best 5 players in the league, and he deserves to get to the free throw line a lot because he's one of the best players the league has ever seen at getting to the foul line in terms of how he draws contact, how he contorts his body to make it look like he's getting more contact than he does. But a lot of these foul calls, maybe 3 of the 10, maybe 4 of the 10, are coming 19 feet further away from the hoop. That's what LeBron James is talking about. LeBron James shoots 6-7 free throw attempts a game, and he's saying, hey, this guy over here, I'm better than him. He shoots 4 more free throw attempts per game than me because he's flailing his arms when he's 25 feet away from the hoop and the defenders are barely even touching him and the refs are blowing the whistle. That's what he's talking about. And this was a perfect example of that. And this happened several times in this game in crucial minutes with crucial players getting fouls that affected the game. Jaylen getting that 4th foul rescinded his ability to be more aggressive in the remainder of that 3rd quarter. And they made a run in that game that made it closer. And the Celtics were about to break out, I thought.
I think you make a good argument.
Yeah, that was the chump of the week call. I think that call 25 feet out.
My God.
That was pretty bad.
Who's the hardest player to play, James or Harden? Are they both just as equally difficult to play?
Equally difficult. Yeah.
Just before we finish up on that, I thought Smart's shot was in.
It was so close.
Oh,
that was on point.
Man. You could see the whole arc of the ball, and you're just going, that thing's going in.
Yeah,
At halftime, Chrissy and I, because there's no power pretty much anywhere in Bristol, so we went downtown. Oh, no power here. Oh, they don't have TV here. So I finally find this place, Pub 31, shout out, and they didn't have the game on. And I'm like, please put the game on the Celtics, please. And they're like, oh yeah, sure. And nobody was watching it. By the end of that 4th quarter, I had everybody in that bar and restaurant watching.
It was an excellent game.
And when that ball went up, everybody's like, and then we went, oh. Yeah. It was like, I was like, geez, I'm so proud of you guys.
I think we win that game if Kyrie made that layup. The layup
Kyrie,
that rolled in and out.
I think
Kyrie, that layup not drop. It was halfway down.
He's missed a couple
Kyrie,
layups like
I think
that.
would be the first person to win. He was probably a little disappointed in himself.
Oh, he was so disappointed in himself.
Step up a little bit more against that big team.
And you could tell he was visibly upset with himself, especially after he missed.
It's good to see that
after he accidentally made the 2nd free throw to bring it within 1 when he tried to miss it. He was so pissed with himself, and for good reason. He didn't do what he was trying to do.
I think it's so hard for him to intentionally miss free throws. That's why on
It's
that
hard for
second time, well, yeah, it's hard for anybody, but on that second time, he threw it so fast that I don't think he was even aiming for the miss.
Right.
I think he was just, he just
They should
didn't want to
practice that.
accidentally get
I
it
think
in.
they do.
Well, I mean,
But the second time, it was such a bad miss that it didn't come anywhere close to the rim, and then it just
the way I've seen it work
destroys
the
your
best,
chances.
if I was coaching a team and teaching them how to do that, is that as the referee gives you the ball is out of your hands in a millisecond.
Yeah.
As soon as the referee, boom, and that's right away, like a shotgun. As soon as he
That's
hits it,
kind of what he
and it's
did,
over.
but he was a foot away from the rim.
But he also took 1,000. There was a beat before he did it too. I'm saying like almost as soon as the ball touches your hand.
Well, I think that the strategy is you need to do whatever it is to catch the defense off guard. And you need to do it, and I think.
But it can't be off the backboard.
No,
It's gotta be off the front of the rim.
But I
How about
think
like a soccer pass to the hoop?
going off the backboard is an attempt to be able to give your players on the
you know what
post
you
to
can't
be able to
do?
get in the front.
You can't. You
You go
cannot.
front rim. That's when you want the ball.
You can't fake the foul shot, can you?
No, that's
You,
no.
can't go like that.
Whatchamacallit got it.
and say tell your teammates.
I forgot-
Because that would create line violations every time.
It was Lance Stevenson earlier in the season got a technical foul. because he did
favorite.
that. But that game was really exciting. I thought. I mean, there was.
We needed more from Al, too.
No, but like, okay, so Al.
I think so. I like how he's playing. He's a great player, I mentioned
there was
last
I'm a great
week.
defender of Al Horford, but he's
No,
not
no,
playing
I'm
like
not.
an all-star
I'm
in that
saying
team,
he's-
in that game.
He's shifts to average Al. So watch.
I thought he played great besides two
Yeah.
things. He needed to make either he needed to make that open three when there was 2 minutes left, or he needed to make that runner when there was 45 seconds left. Those are the only two instances that I was disappointed that he didn't make one of those.
I'm
And if
not
he made one of those,
disappointed in him.
I would have excused the other one. He made a huge post shot off a switch when he was guarded by Harden with less than 2 minutes left. That was a huge shot to put them up, and he's played phenomenal defense all the game. And if you look at Marcus Smart coming back, Marcus Smart is starting to build, or not that he didn't already have it, but he's starting to build incredible pick and roll chemistry with not only Horford, which he had before, but especially with Greg Monroe. I thought their pick and roll just chemistry was brimming, and I thought they played so well together. Greg played really well in the past couple games. We've seen the Greg Monroe that we were hoping we were going to
the
get.
matchup was. It's going to be a matchup situation. So
I don't think
Stevens loved that
Horford,
matchup.
if you did Horford one-on-one against any center or power forward within 2 inches of his size, I don't think he could score in the post on them,
Yeah, but that's not.
unfortunately.
Yeah, but like that's okay.
I
That's
think
okay.
he-
That's
I
not
think
good.
I think he might mentally be as tough as any player in that league, as sharp mentally as any player in that league, and he's a good enough player in all the areas where that when he brings. It's nice to have a guy on the team that is just so locked in and strong mentally.
Just
like
wish he
that.
was stronger down low, as far
Oh,
as
definitely,
offense is
that's why
concerned.
at the end of the game,
But you gotta
had
understand,
Monroe and him in there. You had him-
If Al Horford was stronger down low, that would be a top 10 player in the league. And what we're paying for, we're getting. We're getting a player that's
Yes,
worth a
sure,
max
but you can understand
contract.
why there's going to be some criticism when his scoring average is now down to 12.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'm okay with it, but that's okay.
I know.
He's literally in the 99th percentile for assist percentage in the league in terms of big men. Like he's one of the best passing big men the league has ever seen.
And he's still top 10 in 3 points percentage.
So who's the leading
I do love him, but
big foul shooter in the league? The leading foul shooter for a 5 in
Who
the league.
shoots the most free
Well,
throws?
who makes the most? The highest shooter.
highest
is the most.
percentage.
Embiid?
Highest percentage. No.
Oh,
it's a-
no, not
percentage. Oh,
Embiid.
okay.
highest percentage. It's 86%. And it's
Jokic.
Cantor.
Jokic.
It's
Cantor.
Enes Cantor, 86%, and he goes to the line a lot.
I wouldn't have said that.
I would have said maybe
Which guard has the highest shooting percentage?
Highest field goal percentage?
Highest field goal percentage, 56%.
56%.
And I think this is eye-opening too.
Ben Simmons.
Yes. And it's really impressive to me that he does that. It compensates completely for him not shooting the three.
Ben Simmons still has not hit a three-pointer since high school. I just heard that the other day.
Well, he's only
He never made one. Even
Well, the stat on him I like
NCAA.
is that
It's cool with me.
he leads the league in passes
Like
made
passes, period.
and received.
Yeah. No. I mean, Philly's been.
He's
on-
caught more catches 80 passes a game. That means
Philly's-
his team is always flowing through him, and he's makes 77 passes.
I think Philly's number 1 in the league now, but for the entire season they've been top 3, top 5 in passes per game. We can switch. Maybe we'll
wild.
talk
Well,
about
we
this.
got to do something to keep it from
That was
very
a great
nicely
spin.
going.
That was a good spin. Nice spin.
Very
All right.
strategic.
Kind of a tilt of the wheel.
The FBI probe, we teased it at the end of last week. More stuff has been released. Basically, the FBI is looking into corruption that everyone knows exists in the NCAA in terms of collusion between coaches, athletic directors, agents, shoe people trying to make deals to players, and who knows what and what it is. Basically, I think this Yahoo report that came out off of one of Andy Miller, the kind of estranged former NBA agent that was kind of spearheaded this movement last year or earlier this year. One of his associates, Christian Dawkins,
who's an AAU guy.
He's only like 25 years old. Basically, what happened is the FBI came across one of his Excel spreadsheets and a couple of his wiretap conversations, but also close to 4,000 hours worth of wiretapping elsewhere. But the big thing the big bomb that they got out of this was this Dawkins guy, his Excel sheet, and the things that basically players paid on the sheet. And we saw big names like Dennis Smith Jr., Tim Quarterman, who played at LSU, Diamond Stone, Miles Bridges, and it was very ambiguous. There's no receipts to locations, there's no credit cards, there's no anything. It's just an Excel sheet on a 24-year-old's laptop. And obviously it takes looking into, but a lot of the things were lower totals than you would have expected.
A lot of small amounts, in the hundreds, but I'm sure they add up.
No, in the hundreds and in the lower thousands, and they're all for kind of on the perimeter of being things that matter. I mean, for dinners and for Dennis Smith was the biggest one, but the large percentage of his payment was for an ACL surgery. So a lot of this stuff is being overblown in how important I think it is. Obviously, it's a big thing, but it's always been a big thing. We know corruption is there. We know players are getting played. And there's been more instances. Sean Miller is a big one that came out recently, and he came out with one of the wiretaps revealed that he was discussing with somebody a $100,000 payment for DeAndre.
Well, here's what I find interesting about that, and what you just said. A lot of it I take stock in, and some of it I don't. I think you've got to reserve whether we don't know, because look at Miller. It comes out and they have him paying DeAndre Ayton $100,000 and telling this lackey of an AEU 25-year-old that if there's any money to be exchanged, you come directly to me and nobody else. But the reason that Miller is still coaching, and there's a lot of angles on this, is you don't see any quotes. You see nothing. All you see is
awful.
So where did it come from? Where's the quote of him actually? Where is
so
the
ambiguous.
The
and
there's also
data? Where's the hard data?
That's why it's so lame.
We don't even know where it came from. And yes, I'm sure it's there, but we haven't seen it.
Of course.
And there's also the fact that
seen it, how can you make judgments?
The media outlets, they have messed up pieces of information in this
awful.
story over and over to the point where they've had to rescind or edit. If you have to revise a story 4 times, ESPN, you're going to screw up the story.
Right.
And you're going to invalidate the story to the point where Miller's still on the sideline.
I mean, Arizona fans.
You got nothing.
Arizona people in you don't call it front office, but people in management with Arizona are furious with ESPN because they're making it into essentially a Deflategate type situation when it's been the entire timeline that ESPN is using through this Christian Dawkins guy and through the other people that came out through these wiretapping is so mumbo jumbo and completely discombobulated and makes no sense. The phone call that supposedly was discussing a $100,000 payment between Miller and I forget who the agent he was on the phone with, was after he was already signed with the team. So maybe it was whether he would be channeled to a certain agent to sign with once he left the school. Everything is so ambiguous and unproven, and they're trying to make something out of. I know it's not nothing. I know it's not nothing, but they're trying to make something out of.
So we got to wait.
It doesn't mean anything. We need to wait.
And I would say there's also, as you look for all the angles of this thing, I think everybody right now, fans, players, let's let the March Madness happen.
Right.
And then we'll get back to this. And that's how I even feel right now.
That's how
I'm not
everyone's
even
about
giving it any thought right now until after this is over. And you're going to see guys that are playing in this. I mean, look at you just talked about Auburn. I mean, Bruce Pearl, he's already been in trouble. 2 other schools he's been at. And Chuck Person, who's a borderline basketball Hall of Famer, NBA, he's the guy that has already been indicted, and he was working for Bruce Pearl. So you got a lot of things left to fall, but it's not going to happen during this March Madness.
The
So let's forget
the
about
media
it.
should have let the FBI do their probe, execute this investigation, and then wait for it to develop into a bigger story. And then it could have been the biggest story of possibly the century for sports.
Well, that's the reason that we
this
jumped on
century.
it. That's why they jumped on it, is because they
You
were
nothing's
jump
followed
too
up
quick,
now.
and then
They
all of a
did,
sudden
they did.
people cover their tracks. And
What are they going to wait to? The night before the Final Four now, before the media jumps on it again, and there's some sniff of something, and and you know
until
they're all
release
that's
is
what
something
happened
new.
with Deflategate.
Back
We talked about it right
off.
until the day
Back
before the
off.
Super
Unless
Bowl.
you've got the,
Until the probe releases
legitimate
something-
smoking
Exactly,
gun,
exactly.
then nothing gets said until after this tournament is over.
Until the
Because-
probe releases something that's legitimate and something
and
that
you may
matters.
see a Marcus Camby. You may see when this is all over, where the trophy's taken away, like Louisville. That may
that's fine,
happen at the
whatever.
end.
I don't think people care about that. Like,
And does this
No, they definitely.
does this reinvigorate?
The fan,
players don't. I don't think fans do.
I think. Well, is there any solution here? I mean, I don't see too many good guys in this whole thing, and so the solution, there really isn't any. I don't see anything you can do other than allow players like you allow anybody else to take whatever job they want when they get out of high school.
So-
Whatever job. You want to go to the pros, go to the pros. You want to go to Europe, go to Europe. You want to be a mailman. You can be whatever you want when you come out of high school. We're not going to give you any restrictions because it's just fake to be out there saying that these one and dones. It's just not. It's not working. I mean, now you got Duke doing it. I mean, Duke is one of the highest academically rated schools in the country, and they've got they're tainted by this whole thing now. And even Krzyzewski is that they've got all these one and dones. How are they doing it? I mean,
If you look across this list, and
what's the last class that DeAndre Ayton's been to? What's the
know.
last
He doesn't
class
go to
that Marvin
classes.
Bagley's been to?
Exactly. They don't go to
They don't
classes.
have to go to any classes.
They didn't even go to
One
class
and dones never have
at
to go
UMass
to
Dartmouth
school.
where I went.
Right,
so.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you look at these players that are getting paid, I mean, it's pretty funny. Like Miles Bridges on Michigan State got paid like a sub $100. And all he had to do was give that $100, whatever it was. I think it was actually $50. He had to give that to charity, and then he's let loose. He's fine. He's scot-free. So there are certain players like Josh Jackson's mom. Like I think her name is Apple, which is crazy. She got paid like $3,000, and it's just like
Wait, Apple Jackson?
Apple Jones. Is actually
okay.
her name. Apple
Thank
Jones.
goodness.
But it's just these players moving forward. They should be able to reach out to sponsorship deals to get their own jobs if they want. I don't think
They
that
should be able to have agents.
Yes,
There's people walking around with jerseys with their names on the back, and they're not getting $1 of it.
That's an obvious one.
I don't think.
Jeez.
I understand that down the line, the players should be paid for what they offer to this billion-dollar industry, but I don't think that needs to be a first step. I think that next year they can make the sponsorships, getting whatever job you want, getting some type of monetary flow into these players that are obviously generating huge income for these for these
Because of
organizations.
them. Yeah.
It's laughable that it's been this discussion over and over and over again,
Yeah,
and
forever.
and people are trying
Especially
to.
when coaches are making $6 to $8 million,
20
like
coaches,
you said.
20 coaches make over $2 million.
And some of them make $5-6 million, right?
Yeah, Krzyzewski makes 8.
Every time something comes out, whether it's an FBI probe or something like that, there's always a segment of media or a segment of NCAA fandom that tries to flip it on its head and say, well, who cares about that? Let's pay our players. And the argument always follows. They follow one another in terms of the corruption and in terms of having to move forward and change a new leaf. And I think that if they make a step in doing, even if it's not a full-fledged flipping everything on its head, that it would alleviate some of the pressure of constantly having news about corruption in the NCAA. And I think that it would be easy to say, okay, DeAndre Ayton, if you want to get signed by Nike and go in commercials, that's fine. You can still be a member of our university and play in the school. And I think that that's the change that wouldn't be huge that they could be able to make.
Even if you took it 10% of your annual profits from this organization, that's your salary cap for your team.
Yes.
Divvy it up how you want.
I agree.
And
I like
then
that. I like that type of thing.
And then at least your players, some of whom are coming from very, very poverty-stricken areas, for whom basketball has always been their way out or their way of taking care of their family, can do that without having to worry about getting by.
If you're a team and you're how do you decide which players get what amount of money? The best players get more. The weaker players get less.
So
you rank your players.
Exactly.
From 1 to
I
12.
think you
Like,
absolutely
have
do.
a
The better
small
players
pool.
get paid more.
So who makes those decisions?
The people who are in charge, the coaches, the
decide.
athletic, absolutely. What do you mean? In positions that you've had, you have a boss. Your employees either get paid more or less, or the same as you. So that's another huge argument that people are. Oh, if you change this and you have to pay athletes, that means you're going to have to pay the rowing team and this team and this team.
Exactly. Title IX.
Well, yeah, but that's another thing.
It is. It's a factor.
It's just that the women's basketball team at Auburn isn't contributing as much revenue as the men's basketball team, and there are going to be ways that they're going to be able to get around that and to compensate the people that are responsible for money coming in, and not all these hiccups. It's like these people are creating problems for why we should stay away from it, but in reality, all you have to do is just pay the people that are responsible for generating all this income.
A major segment of this that is so important is football, because especially in the SEC and down there, and that's where I say there aren't really any good guys in this thing. There's not too many hard to find. And the fans, you think the fans that are out there tailgating and invested in Alabama, and you think that they want anything to change? No, don't mess with my Saturdays, please, no matter what. I don't care how much these guys are being played. I'm tailgating on Saturday morning. I'm going to see Alabama. Do whatever you want. And that's the mentality of football. And football is still so much more popular than every other sport. And in football, it's like the percentage of people watching football to baseball and basketball is 3 times, 4 times as much that are watching football.
Yeah, so it's changing though.
And
the gap is
it's changing. It used to be 50 and 10, and now it's 45 and 15. It's
and with all that's been revealed
football.
about the concussion the concussion issues, and with the fact that most NFL players' careers are 2.5 to 3.5 years.
That's staggering.
On average. I mean, they want to get paid too. Yep. So, I mean, this reinvigorates the...
Let's get on to the tournament, and hopefully nothing else happens.
The whole argument.
I think that all this probe is another wait-and-see type of situation, and we're going to see maybe something does come out of it that's concrete and is real evidence against a specific player or coach that we'll have to take a stand on and actually make real light of. But right now, it's all up in the air and it's all hoopla. And it's just only a discussion topic that people like ESPN are blowing out of proportion.
Agreed.
Baby spin.
Only a couple to get to.
Oh, tough spin. That's a tough spin.
You only got 3 of them you can find over here, so we just got to do Sixers, Rockets, or Lakers.
Baby spin.
Lakers. All right. The Los Angeles Lakers, they have been playing very well lately.
Are they jockeying for position here and starting to come close to a playoff? They getting there.
I would say they have 0 chances of making the playoffs.
In the West?
It isn't.
In the West?
No, they're not too far off. When you look at what's happening with San Antonio right now, San Antonio's in jeopardy.
There's about 8 teams fiending for those 6 spots.
But the Lakers are only, there's 6 games out?
There's 8 teams fiending for those 6 spots, and the Lakers are not one of them.
They're the hottest team, and you've got San Antonio falling backwards, and San Antonio's only 1 game out of 8th position right now.
So I don't think that they're the hottest team. I think that
they won 5 in a row.
Yeah, but so what? Utah has won 8 of their last 10.
Jazz,
well, 5 in a row.
The Clippers have won 7 of their last 10. Denver has won 7 of the last 10. All of these teams are performing very well. I don't care that I want to talk about the Lakers because of how they're performing, but in terms of their ability to make the playoffs, it's not going to happen. They're in their own tier below playoff contention and above tanking for the lottery. And that's where they are, and they're going to...
No, they haven't got a shot to tank for the lottery.
So they're in their own
area.
They
got a shot of making the playoffs.
They're going to be looking about 35, 36 wins, right around the realm that I said that they were going to probably be about. Right now, they're 28 and 34. They're 7 and 3 in their last 10. They are on the 5-game win streak.
But 28 and 34 is pretty impressive, and that's
well, it's because their young players have been playing well. Their schedule hasn't been that crazy. They played a great game against San Antonio last night, where Lonzo had some great shooting.
Of course, Aldridge is out.
Right. So
28 and 34 isn't that impressive when the 10th seed in the West has 34 wins.
Right. I mean, the team above them is 33 and 30.
33.
But
28 losses.
It's more so about the development of the players. I don't care about their standing in terms of the league. It's how the players look, and their players look really good. And if you look at all 3 of the players that I consider their core of Lonzo, Ingram, and Randall, and we've seen Kuzma really tail off. But he looks like he'll be a good 6-man moving forward if they keep those 4 guys. But the first 3 guys that I mentioned, Randall has been the go-to guy in this stretch. He's been the go-to scorer. The offense has ran through him. He touches the ball the most, and he scores the most, and he makes the most decisions, and I've loved what the decisions that he's been making. He does have a short wingspan, so he's not that great of a rim protector for a lot of the center minutes that he's been playing, but his defensive aggressiveness has really shot through the roof, and he's played great minutes on both sides of the ball. Ingram has shown a lot in terms of his playmaking ability shining out. He's still not great at finishing when he gets to the hoop, but he's shown signs, and it's something that he's still only 20, 21 years old, and he's showing things that I personally was nervous about before.
He's maturing.
He's maturing, and he looks like he's going to be a good player. He doesn't have superstar ceiling or anything, but
I
he
think
looks
he
like
does.
I think he does.
I think
he could
Ceiling,
easily
that's a
be
ceiling.
one of the future
He's so
faces of the
athletic.
NBA.
I don't know about that.
He's not
great.
great.
He's not athletic enough. He's not fast enough, and he's not. And for him to be able to take a jump in those areas in a year where those years are already so close ahead of him, I don't see him be able to make a jump and
He's
be able
young.
to
He's really
be.
young.
He's got such raw talent.
What
and
is
I
he,
think
22?
I think he
20,
makes
he's
good
21.
moves
21,
with or
21
without
years
the
old.
basketball.
So when you're talking
No, I
ceiling
think
on
he's
a
going to be
21
good.
year old.
I think he has potential to be the second or third best player on a very good playoff team. I think he has that type of ceiling.
So
I
that's
don't-
very good.
I-
That's almost great.
I think he has a top 30 player ceiling. I
know,
think
that's
that's
good.
Yeah,
I love the
that's
job
really
that Luke Walton's doing on that team, and
He's doing a good job.
I like how he's managing his players, and it's pretty cool how Isaiah Thomas has fit into this team. And
Isaiah fits great.
How he couldn't fit in.
It's crazy how he gets
I'm
there.
pointing the finger at LeBron. I'm saying
I think it's funny.
nobody can
He
play
gets
with
there,
LeBron.
and then they say, well, the Celtics get our pick if we're one of the worst, and then all of a sudden they start winning all these games. I'm like,
No,
what
he's
is he
scoring
trying to
20 a
keep that
game.
pick away from the Celtics?
He's scoring 20 a game, and when we had
Had
talked,
that big game where he had 30.
I know the beginning of the year before, I think before the trade we were talking, I know we brought to the table Isaiah being a sixth man on the Celtics. He is really he could be as good a sixth man as there is in that league in terms of instant offense. That guy is just so confident in his play that he is ready to shoot and score bang as soon as he comes off the bench.
His explosiveness still isn't back, but you can tell that he has his stroke back and his confidence coming off of screens, specifically with those plays where he really thrived in Boston last year. He's really capitalizing on those with the Lakers. And you spoke on Luke Walton. I think he's doing a fantastic
He's
job.
got Ball back in the starting lineup.
Yes, and he's
Ball played well.
Lonzo
Yes.
Ball, 6 for 10 from three-point land.
He's been
the
playing
other
great.
day.
He's been shooting up-
in the 40% in the past 4 games. It's
I
crazy.
think in the past month, actually, he's shooting close to 40%.
Of course, he
from three.
didn't play in the last month. But
Yeah, but in the games he's played, but
Yeah.
he's played great, and I give
and
Walton a lot of
I do-
props
yeah.
for allowing his players.
that's a nice starting lineup he's in there now.
Yeah, the players are making strides in areas that weren't known for them. I mean, we've seen Randall be a defensive difference maker in these last several games, and a player that you can play through. We've seen Ingram be able to take on point guard responsibilities where it isn't something we've ever thought of, and we've seen Lonzo also contribute defensively, which is something that we were unsure about in the beginning of the year as well. I love where all these players are trending, and I think that at least some of them need to be attractive. And I think it's funny that we really haven't heard any LeVar at all, right?
I think that's partly why they're succeeding right now. The media presence has
left.
sort of dissipated.
Yes,
that's a good thing.
That's what I was going to say. And I think that when the team is playing well, and LeVar has things to focus on, he's a popular guy. He's got 2 kids playing basketball in Lithuania that need a lot of his attention. And if he's prompted, and if he's asked, and if he's at a Laker game, I'm sure he'll stir something up just because that's what he does. But the notion that LeVar Ball may sway away a Paul George or a LeBron James, I think that's a little bit laughable, because if you watch Lonzo Ball in these games, if that guy has a superstar on his team, he's going to be phenomenal. And I think his play and his just be able to be a lightning rod and just a motivator of a fast pace. And he doesn't want the ball in his hands, but his ability to make high IQ decisions and quick decisions is really stands off the page. And I think that makes so much more sense, and you'll notice it so much more if you're accompanied by Paul George instead of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Yeah.
And I think that he should be someone that they market in the coming years when they're trying to attract free agents. And I think that Ingram might be a player that they should try to move, whose value is obviously rising, and it could succeed in different teams.
But they don't have to move anybody. They've got the room to sign, right? They can just bring guys in.
But what I'm thinking is if they try to bring in like a super team, they sign 2 guys and they try to like trade for a 3rd guy. Is what I'm trying to say.
I love the things that are happening with Ball, and I think it's worked out pretty. I like the 6'6", and I like the way he rebounds. I like his play. I would bring to the table how does somebody like LeBron fit with that? How does LeBron ever play for the Lakers and play with ball?
So LeBron fits with anybody.
And it's the same thing. Does LeBron play for the 76ers with Simmons?
Yes.
So
And who has the ball?
it doesn't matter.
I think it does. I think Simmons is so gifted.
With the Sixers, Simmons doesn't shoot threes.
No,
So
but
you
I'm
don't have to
talking
worry
about if he's receiving 70, 80 passes a game, he's got the ball all the time for Philadelphia, and that's how he thrives.
Think if you have two
I
phenomenal.
texted Shea
He
last
doesn't
night.
always want to be the guy
He's
that has to
looking like
drive to the
Magic
hoop.
Johnson to me at times.
All I'm saying is if
You
you're
don't take the ball away from a guy like that.
if you surround two of the best 5 passers in the league, even if one of them cannot shoot with 3 credible shooters, that's a strong team. I don't care if Ben Simmons needs the ball, LeBron needs the ball too. They can both succeed when they don't have the ball. We watch plenty of minutes with the Sixers where he plays the 4 and they have TJ McConnell running the point and he dominates off ball.
Imagine how many open shooters they find between those two players.
Yes.
I think it's
Who are
more
both
than
tough
that.
to lock down?
I think LeBron has to make a conscious decision to play off the ball.
That's okay.
I don't see that happening
Yeah,
with
but
him.
that's something that I don't know if he's going to take that step next year in his career, but that's something that I can
He doesn't
see
have
him
a lot
taking
of years
next
left in his career.
year. All right, so I think that's all the time we're going to have. We'll
Okay.
do the medals off camera, but thanks for joining me. It'll be exciting to see
I'll be
how this.
sweating every Virginia game because if they get
true.
beat, I'm going to take a beating.
No, I'm not
Oh,
going to.
boy.
I'm not going to say anything. But
Brackets next week.
brackets next week. That's on Sunday. Thank you for joining us on My Wheelhouse. Until next time.